After 7 years of living off the very house I bought, my son and daughter-in-law suddenly won $85 million. But instead of being grateful for the shelter I gave them, by noon that very day, my daughter-in-law had cruelly thrown all my belongings out the window, china shattering across the street while she screamed, "We don't need to do charity for you anymore. Go die old in a nursing home." I stood in the yard, clothes dusty and rumpled, my heartbeat steady, and quietly said, "Did you read the name on the back of the ticket?" Her victorious smile froze for a split second, and soon that single question would make her glittering world collapse for good. I'm Margaret Henderson, 63, a widow for nearly a decade. Since Robert passed, the two-story house in the suburbs of Charleston, South Carolina, became my only refuge, and then my son Daniel's as well, along with his beautiful but overly sharp wife, Vanessa. 7 years ago, when Daniel lost his job and Vanessa was pregnant, they knocked on my door in a fall storm, soaked and shivering. I opened the door and said, "Come in. This house always has room for you." That morning, I got up early as usual to make coffee and pancakes for the little ones. Lily, 8, and Noah, 5. But instead of small footsteps chattering down the stairs, I heard a scream rip through the house. "Daniel, get up now." Vanessa's shrill voice burst with excitement. The wooden stairs shook as Daniel ran down. Then suddenly, shouts exploded. "We won, Daniel. 85 million. $85 million. I looked down and saw Vanessa clutching the lottery ticket, trembling with excitement. Daniel hugged her, laughing and repeating, "I can't believe it." And I, the one who bought that very ticket yesterday with the numbers I've used for 20 years, each one a family birthday, stood frozen. My heart sank because they never asked, "Mom, is this your ticket?" Vanessa turned, eyes blazing. "We're rich, Daniel. Finally, we don't have to live in this old house anymore." The words "this old house" stabbed right through me. The home Robert and I built with every saved dollar, every extra shift. I wanted to say I was the one who bought that ticket, but the words stuck in my throat. I looked at Daniel, hoping he'd realize something. But he just stood there, letting Vanessa call the shots like always. About an hour later, neighbors arrived after hearing about the lottery win. By noon, there was a hard knock on my door. Vanessa stood there, arms crossed. "Start packing. We're moving, and we don't need any dead weight coming along. At your age, it's better to find a decent nursing home." I looked her in the eye. "This is my house, Vanessa." "Used to be, Margaret," she said. Then she yanked open the closet and started throwing my things. Dresses, the wedding photo, a pottery vase. Everything went crashing into the yard below. Daniel stood on the threshold, hands in his pockets, face pale, but he didn't step in to stop his wife. "We don't need to do charity for you anymore," she shouted. I quietly bent down, picked up the shattered frame, and wiped the dust off. I collected what was still intact, and when a beat-up yellow cab pulled up, I turned to Daniel. "You're not going to say anything?" He looked down. "Vanessa just went a little too far, Mom." "No, Daniel," I said. "This is the choice you two made." I walked toward the gate, then stopped. I looked straight at Vanessa. "Did you read the name on the back of the ticket?" For a split second, that smile stalled. A flicker of doubt crossed her eyes. Then she quickly feigned disdain. "I have no idea what you're talking about." I opened the cab door and told the driver softly, "Anywhere with the cheapest rooms nearby." As the car pulled away, Daniel stood frozen on the steps. The two little ones pressed to the upstairs window, eyes red. The room I rented sat above a Chinese restaurant. It barely fit a twin bed and a wobbly wooden table. I sat on the edge of the bed, opened my bag, and took out the purchase receipt. The scrolled Margaret Henderson in the signature box was still clear. I heard Robert's voice in my ear. Always sign your name, Margaret. A signature never lies. I smiled faintly. They thought I'd lost, but really, the game had only just begun. After Robert was laid to rest, the house was so quiet. Widowhood at 56 taught me to speak less and keep small rituals, pouring 2 cups of coffee each morning, sometimes whispering, "I'm okay, Robert." Then one February night, Daniel showed up with Vanessa, soaked and desperate. "Mom, we lost the apartment. My company folded." I opened the door. "Come in. This house always has room for you." I couldn't have imagined that just a few months would stretch into 7 years. 7 years of being the help in the very house with my name on the deed. At first, things seemed fine. I gave them the big downstairs room. Daniel smiled. "Thanks, Mom. I'll pay you back soon." But soon never came. After Lily was born, then Noah, Vanessa didn't return to work. Daniel bounced between jobs. I covered every utility bill, groceries, and insurance with my teacher's pension. I remembered Robert's words, "Don't let our kid know hunger, Margaret." So I did everything to keep the house warm, waking at 5 a.m., making breakfast, doing laundry, cooking dinner. Then Vanessa said, "Maybe you could move up to the attic. I'll turn your room into a home office." The attic was a storage space, sweltering in summer. But I forced a smile. "If it's convenient for you, do it." I didn't know that decision pushed me out of the role of mother in my family. From then on, I became Miss Margaret upstairs. Vanessa reorganized the kitchen and labeled everything. That winter she started hosting adults-only dinners. I still cooked, but when dinner began, Vanessa would say, "Mom, I saved you a plate in the kitchen." I stepped out and ate alone. When Lily started talking, Vanessa taught her to call me Miss Margaret instead of Grandma. I laughed it off, but that night I cried in the bathroom. By the 4th year, Vanessa began setting rules. "Mom, no sweets for the kids at night." "Mom, the house needs to be spotless." Each thing sounded small, but together they nicked like 1,000 paper cuts. I overheard Vanessa on the phone. "I'm living with my mother-in-law. It's so hard. She interferes in everything." Each time I wondered who she was talking about, because I hardly meddled in anything anymore. I started journaling. Every night, day of patience. Just small notes. Vanessa nagged about towels. Daniel forgot to pick up Lily. Even so, one thing in me never went out. Tenderness. I loved Daniel, the boy who used to carry me piggyback. I loved the 2 little ones. I even loved Vanessa. But patience has limits. What broke it wasn't a big fight, just a small thing. Lily's 10th birthday came on a bright April day. I still remember her eyes when she pointed to the turquoise bicycle in the sporting goods store. "Grandma, if I had that bike, I'd never be late for school again." I knew the price, $200, almost all of what was left of my pension. But I decided to buy it. She's only 10 once. 3 days before her birthday, I quietly bought the bike, wrapped it in silver paper with sunflowers. I hid it in the garage. Robert would have smiled. He used to say, "Sometimes the smallest gift becomes the biggest memory." On the morning of her birthday, I made heart-shaped pancakes, hung balloons, and put on the old blue dress Robert once complimented. Lily ran down the stairs. "It's my birthday, Grandma." But Vanessa walked in frowning. "You know, Daniel and I already agreed. No expensive gifts. We want her to understand the value of money." That afternoon, when Daniel brought the kids home, I revealed the bike. Lily gasped, "Oh my gosh, it's beautiful." But Vanessa's voice cut in cold as steel. "I told you, Mom, no expensive gifts." I stayed calm. "It's just a bike, Vanessa. You're breaking our parenting rules," she said. "You did this just to show the kids you're better than me." Lily gripped my hand, frightened. "Mom, please. I'll clean the bike myself." She sobbed, but Vanessa crouched down. "Grandma will return it, and then you'll understand why grown-ups have to save." That afternoon, I walked the bike back to the store, each step heavy as stone. When I signed the refund slip, my hand shook. As I left, a light rain started. Cold drops hit my cheeks, mixing with salt at the corner of my mouth. That night, the house was quiet. No cake, no candles. I set out a small cake and a card. "Happy birthday, Lily. Love you always, Grandma." Then I stepped outside. The April night was cold. I had no plan, just knew I needed air. The corner store was nearly empty. Then my eyes stopped at the lottery counter. "Jackpot tomorrow night, $85 million. I gave a tired smile. "One ticket, please. With these numbers." I read the familiar sequence. Birthdays for Robert, me, Daniel, and the two kids. I pulled out a pen and signed the back. Margaret Henderson. Robert's old rule. Always sign and keep the receipt. I placed the ticket and receipt on the kitchen table, right where anyone could see, as if laying down a quiet prayer to the universe. 3 days after they won, the phone in my rented room rang at 7 a.m. "This is Thomas Brennan, counsel for the South Carolina State Lottery. I need to verify details about the lottery ticket registered to Margaret Henderson." "Yes, I'm the one who bought that ticket." "Then congratulations. You're the grand prize winner. $85 million. I was quiet, not because I was surprised, but because a strange feeling rose in me. More like when a storm you saw from miles away finally arrives. But I need you to be aware. Third parties have contacted us. A woman named Vanessa Carter Henderson claims the ticket was bought with marital funds and that you're no longer competent to manage assets." I let out a small laugh. When they can't take something, they try to convince others I'm not smart enough to keep it. "Could you confirm a few items?" "The back signature, your ID, and proof of purchase." I opened my wallet and pulled out the receipt. I have the receipt. Benny's Corner Mart. Purchase time, 7:43 p.m. Friday, April 12th. I also have copies of my ID and the store camera will show it. I spoke clearly without hesitation. "Excellent. That's sufficient. However, these folks seem ready to cause trouble. They may push rumors or forge medical records." "I'm used to their labeling games," I said. "One more won't matter. You're the calmest person I've ever told they've won $85 million. Because to me, the real prize isn't the money, it's the truth." After the call, I sat still. I pulled out my old notebook and wrote, day one after the win. "I'm still poor, but richer than they are in one way. I still have my self-respect." I called Patricia Moore, my neighbor of 30 years. "Margaret, the whole neighborhood's talking about your lottery win. Your daughter-in-law said you went on vacation. I laughed. Yeah, vacation with no air conditioning and a smell of grease in my hair. Patricia, I need a favor. Watch the house for a few days. Note dates, plates, what cars show up. What are you going to do, Margaret? I just want the truth to surface at the right time, in the right place. I stopped by First Southern Bank and opened a safe deposit box. What will you be storing, ma'am? The teller asked. My future, I said, placing inside the original receipt, a photocopy of the ticket and copies of my ID. As I left, I caught my reflection in the glass, an older woman with silver hair and an oddly steady gaze. Robert used to tell me, you're gentle, but when pushed, you turn into ice. That evening, I got a text from Daniel. Mom, we want to talk. Don't believe what the papers are saying. I opened my phone, a local site posted, Charleston couple wins jackpot. Elderly mother gives ticket to her son, then disappears. I laughed out loud. Congratulations, Vanessa. You just publicly admitted I bought the ticket. I texted back, I'm not missing. I'm just seeing clearly who's genuine and who isn't. Just 3 days after the win, Vanessa started performing like a star. She made a social media account called The Lucky Henderson with flashy live streams. Life can be very fair, she told thousands of viewers. My mother-in-law promised to gift the ticket to the family. Every line was crafted to sound grateful while planting doubt. Patricia called. Margaret. Furniture trucks, flower deliveries, even a brand new SUV parked out front. At noon, Patricia sent photos, Vanessa posing with white roses next to a sign reading the Henderson residence. That afternoon, my phone rang. It was Vanessa, voice candy sweet. About the ticket, there's probably a small mix-up. I just need you to sign a brief confirmation that it isn't yours. I gave a small laugh. Vanessa, when did you read the name on the back of the ticket? Dead silence. Then she changed the subject. People online are saying you're not in a stable situation. Thanks for the concern, but the only person who's ever taken advantage of me is the one on this call. I hung up. The next night, an email came from the attorney. We received a letter from Carter Henderson Family Holdings. It alleges you lack the capacity to manage assets and request guardianship be transferred to your son. Brennan gave a wry laugh. They don't understand the law. Your signature, the receipt, they're all solid. If they push this, they'll cause trouble for themselves. Then let them keep going, I said. The farther they walk, the more footprints they leave. The next day, Patricia called. I've heard them arguing. Daniel yelled, "Stop it. This is my mother." And Vanessa screamed, "If you don't take my side, you lose everything." I closed my eyes. Daniel's image flashed in my mind, the little boy who once promised, "I'll protect you forever, Mom." I lit a small candle by Robert's photo. I did what you asked. I'm not bowing my head anymore. Then my phone rang. It was Daniel. Mom, I need to tell you something. Already spent it, deposits on 2 cars, down payment on a mansion on Kiowa Island, furniture contract, even a Europe trip. All from a pending funds account. So, I asked quietly, you spent money you didn't have? Daniel, for 7 years, who paid the electric bill, the water, the insurance, the kids' schooling? No answer. Who, Daniel? You did. Right. Me. The person you said was living off you. The one thrown out of her own house. And now you're calling to ask if the ticket is mine. I didn't know Vanessa would do that. I can forgive being poor. I can't forgive deception. I paused. You want to talk? Come to where I am. Today, 2 p.m. But bring the truth. No gifts, no excuses. It wasn't even 2 o'clock yet, but I was ready. I set the table with 2 cups of tea. I wanted Daniel to see clearly. His mother is not the weak, confused woman Vanessa painted me to be. A knock sounded right at 2 p.m. Daniel stood there, pale, eyes sunken. I'm sorry, Mom. Just 4 words. I motioned to the chair. Sit, Daniel. This room isn't pretty, but at least it's mine. Not 5 minutes later, Vanessa showed up, heels striking sharp. She swept in and smirked. Cozy, isn't it? It's warm because there are no lies in here, Vanessa. I decided not to drag out the pretending. I'll be brief. This morning, the lottery's attorney confirmed it. The name on the ticket is Margaret Henderson. The payout account is set. The money will hit within 24 hours. The room went still. Vanessa gave a thin laugh. So, you plan to keep it all? I plan to keep what's mine. Daniel lifted a hand. Mom, maybe we could make a deal, like a family agreement? I smiled, sorrow behind it. A deal, Daniel. I've been making deals for 7 years. I dealt by staying silent when insulted, paying bills when you were unemployed, babysitting while your wife called me a freeloader. Vanessa sat straight. We could buy a big house. You could live with us. Have your own private suite. I looked at her. Sounds more like a dog kennel out back than a mother's room. She froze. I opened a drawer and took out my expense log. First question, who threw my things out the window? You know, I just lost my temper, she rolled her eyes. Second question, who called me a freeloader? Daniel drew a breath. Mom. Yes. Vanessa said it. I heard everything. Vanessa snapped toward him, eyes blazing. What are you doing? I'm telling the truth, Daniel said, courage in his tone for the first time in years. I unfolded the paper and read line by line. Electric bill $118 a month, 7 years. Water, roof repair, school costs, groceries, all from my pension. I'm not saying this to collect. I'm reminding you these numbers are evidence of kindness, not obligation. Vanessa started to fray. If you don't sign a transfer, I'll sue you. I was already on my feet. You're free to leave, Vanessa. The court isn't far. You'll regret this. No, you will. When you learn money can't buy 1 second of peace. Her face went from red to white. Then she turned, heels hammering, and the door slammed. Silence. Just me and Daniel. Mom, I don't know what to say. Every mistake has a price. The only price I want from you is the truth. He nodded, eyes wet. Can you forgive me? Forgiveness isn't forgetting, Daniel. It's remembering and choosing not to take revenge. Now go take care of the kids. Tomorrow I'll claim the money. After that, we'll talk again if you still want a mother. That evening, Daniel came back alone. I motioned for him to sit. I will help you, but not for you, for Lily and Noah. You put deposits on cars and luxuries. I can cover those, protecting the kids from the financial chaos their parents created. He started to thank me, but I held up a hand. Every bit of help comes with conditions. First, you end this toxic marriage. If you let Vanessa drag you down, I'll pull all support. Second, you apologize publicly on the front steps. Third, you go to counseling for single fathers. Daniel didn't speak for a minute. Then he exhaled. What about Vanessa? She'll do what people like her always do: scream, blame, threaten. But if she wants a fight, I'm ready. As if on cue, a knock hit the door. Vanessa walked in. Perfect. Mommy and son plotting again. I'm setting the terms for forgiveness, Vanessa. And you sadly aren't on the list. You think you can control my husband forever? I have legal rights. Then sue Vanessa. But don't use my money to hire your lawyer. Daniel turned. Mom, I choose you and the kids. Vanessa looked at her husband, eyes rimmed red. You'll regret this. No, Vanessa, you're the one who's losing. You've thrown away the one thing money can't buy. Respect. We'll see you in court. Good, because this time the court won't just ask who's right. It'll ask who forgot how to be human. The next afternoon, Attorney Thomas Brennan and I reached the South Carolina Lottery office. Inside, a staffer led us to verification. The prize records manager inspected the ticket under special light, matched the signature, then pulled up security footage from the corner store. The screen showed a silver-haired woman signing the back of the ticket. The signature is a complete match. The ticket is valid. I exhaled, not in relief, but release. They presented payout options. I'd like an initial portion now, enough to cover immediate needs. The remainder goes into a trust named the Robert and Margaret Henderson Trust. You want to set up a trust right now? Yes. I lost an honest husband and gave my life to our family. This trust is how I keep the cleanest part of that life intact. Brennan smiled. It'll be a private trust. No public names, no media access. I nodded. I've had enough noise. I want quiet, not spotlights. On the drive back, Brennan asked about plans. I want to open a separate education trust for the kids. They can access it at 18 with proof of schooling. No one, Daniel included, withdraws early. No adult touches that money. Not even me. Very few big winners think that far ahead. I smiled. I've lived long enough to know money only matters when it stays where it should. That evening, I signed a lease for a small house near Seabrook Bay with a front porch facing the water. I put down a deposit to redo the kitchen and asked for a trellis of climbing roses, velvety red summer bloomers with a strong scent. I want to remember him not with tears, but with fragrance. Night fell. I went back to finish packing. My phone pinged. An email from Vanessa with an attachment. A medical report forged in my name claiming I had memory impairment. I forwarded it to Brennan. He called immediately. She's just made a serious mistake. That's defamation with fabricated documents. See, people only lie when they're afraid of the truth. I looked at Robert's photo. See, love, I did it. I kept signing my own name, just like you told me. For the first time in years, I slept deep. No screaming, no slamming doors. Only the far-off sound of waves. May brought Charleston's damp winds. On one morning, I got the court notice. Vanessa had filed suit seeking custody of Lily and Noah. The complaint accused me of manipulating Daniel, psychologically influencing him to break up the family, and lacking capacity to control assets. I read every line, half laughing, half sighing. Brennan raised an eyebrow. She's forgotten she's leaving a trail. This suit won't just fail. It'll expose her completely. 2 weeks later, the first hearing opened. Judge Meredith Shaw had a sharp eye and even voice. When I entered, she looked at me not with pity, but with quiet respect. Vanessa sat in a pristine white dress. She held Daniel's hand, but his eyes were cast down. The social worker reported, Miss Henderson's new Seabrook house has been inspected, clean, comfortable, suitable with space for children. Mr. Henderson's home is well maintained with a stable plan. By contrast, Miss Carter Henderson's residence is under unpaid mortgage with noise complaints. Vanessa tried to interrupt, but Judge Shaw raised a hand. You'll have your turn. Patricia Moore took the stand with a frayed notebook, recounting hearing Vanessa insult me. The bills I paid. I watched a woman hold a family together with kindness and get pushed out the door by the same people. Then two neighbors spoke. The corner store manager confirmed I bought the ticket, signed it, kept the receipt. Finally, Brennan played video from Patricia's porch camera, Vanessa throwing my things out the window, shouting, "Go die in a nursing home." The courtroom went silent. Judge Shaw tapped the gavel. Verbal abuse, control, and defamation of an elder, without physical violence, still constitutes serious psychological abuse. I was just stressed. Vanessa burst into tears. Stress does not excuse humiliation. Daniel laid out a plan for single fatherhood, school schedules, budget, proof of counseling enrollment. My mother set up an education trust for the kids, but she doesn't interfere in my personal life. When my turn came, I stood. I'm not here to win or lose. I just want my two grandkids safe and to grow up in a home without fear. Whichever side can give them that, that's the side I'll support. The courtroom went silent. The judge nodded, eyes softening. After 2 days of hearings, the ruling was announced. The court granted primary custody to Daniel and gave Vanessa supervised visitation. She was required to attend a 6-month counseling program. As for the lottery suit, the judge dismissed it entirely and formally reprimanded Vanessa for defamation. Judge Shaw read firmly, "The court recognizes Miss Margaret Henderson as the legal owner of the winning ticket and as a victim of defamation. Truth does not need a defender. It only needs time, and time has done its work." Vanessa bowed her head, face white as paper. Daniel held my hand tight. The grip I'd waited 7 years to feel. When we stepped outside, wind from Seabrook Bay blew hard. My silver hair flew wild, but I didn't smooth it down. For the first time in my life, I let the wind do what it wanted as a sign of freedom. Brennan walked beside me, smiling. "You just won 2 cases at once. I don't need anyone to know I won. I just need the kids to know truth won." Patricia hugged me tight. Justice may arrive late, but it never loses its way. Daniel stood beside me. "Mom, I want to move to Seabrook, not into your house, but nearby so Lily and Noah can run over to see you anytime." I nodded without saying more. A tear slipped from the corner of my eye. Not from sadness, but from release. I moved into the little house in Seabrook on a gentle morning in early June. The sea was pale blue, the waves calm. I chose cream walls and set lavender pots by the window. I rehung the old photos, Robert's kind smile, little Daniel with a kite, Lily and Noah in my lap. Each picture felt like a stitch pulling the torn pieces of memory back together. On the first day, Daniel called. "Mom, can I bring the kids over this weekend?" I smiled. "The door's always open, but bring your dad's chowder recipe." Saturday afternoon, Daniel drove up. Lily and Noah leapt from the car, laughter ringing across the yard. A simple, complete feeling filled me. Family without the heaviness. We made the first chowder in the new kitchen. As the smell of corn, cream, and pepper drifted through the house, I realized some scents never die. They just sleep until your heart is ready to wake them. After dinner, I took Lily outside. I opened a small box and brought out the turquoise bicycle, the dream left unfinished years ago. Lily squealed. Grandma, really? I nodded, eyes stinging. Yes, for you. But you have to keep a promise. Never let anyone make you believe you don't deserve good things. She hugged me, then hopped on and pedaled around the yard. Her laughter rang all afternoon like a bell, washing the old bitterness clean. Noah sat in the living room, carefully building with Legos on the wooden table Robert once sanded by hand. Look, Grandma, I matched the picture. I patted his head and thought, Robert, do you see? The kids still have your skillful hands. A few weeks later, Daniel started a support group for single dads. Most evenings he'd share, they're teaching me how to set boundaries, how to say no without guilt. I smiled. You're learning what your father taught his whole life. Being a good man doesn't require shouting, just knowing right from wrong. Daniel changed slowly. The tightness left his face. I didn't step into his personal life anymore. I loved my son, but I'd learned to love with limits. I also set clear financial boundaries. Any help from me needs receipts, a purpose, and a clear commitment. I won't use money to patch over mistakes anymore. Daniel understood. He nodded without pride. At last, he'd grown up. In the fall, I started a small project, Hands for Home, a program helping older adults who are exploited or abandoned by family. I invited Patricia to join. We repainted an old dining table. This table will be the first place where anyone can sit and eat without being insulted. She laughed. Sounds like our table, just a little bigger. When the paint dried, we centered it in the living room and set a velvety red rose arrangement, Robert's favorite. That table became our weekend gathering spot where I heard my grandkids laugh, Daniel talk kitchen tricks, and Patricia chat about neighbors. One evening, when the house was quiet, I sat to write. I wrote a letter to myself. Margaret, forgiveness doesn't mean erasing. It means moving on without letting the past trip you. People can change, but not everyone deserves to come close again. Your son is learning to be a father. You are learning to be yourself again. I folded the letter and slipped it into a drawer. Night fell and sea air swept across the porch. I went to the garden, cut a red bloom, and brought it inside. I set the rose before Robert's frame and whispered, I put myself first, Robert, just like you told me, and I kept my word. That afternoon, a sudden downpour hammered the porch roof. I was brewing mint tea when I heard a sound at the gate. Opening the door, I saw Vanessa holding a frayed umbrella, eyes bruised with exhaustion, confidence gone. What do you need, Vanessa? I asked calmly. She hesitated. I need help. I invited her onto the porch, but kept the door pulled to. Rain ran off the roof. She sat on the wooden chair, hands trembling. Creditors are after me. I lost my job. I don't know where to start. I looked at her. The arrogance was gone. Just a woman depleted by her own choices. You want a quick fix, don't you? She nodded, lips quivering. I answered slowly. There are no shortcuts, Vanessa. Only responsibility and repair. She lowered her head, tears mixing with rain. I was wrong. I lost everything. I said nothing, just poured her a hot cup of tea. From a drawer, I took a small envelope, no bills, only a list of job centers and counseling groups. These are contacts and addresses. They'll help if you truly want to start over. Can I see the kids? The court was clear. If you complete the counseling sessions, you can have supervised visits. Daniel won't block it, and neither will I. And one more thing, I added. I won't hand you cash. But if you need a hot meal or honest advice, this porch stays open as long as you walk in with honesty. Then Vanessa choked out, I'm sorry, Margaret. I looked at her a long time. I hear you, and I accept it in my own way. She left when the rain eased. I knew the loop of resentment had snapped, at least on my end. That night, we ate clam chowder together. Daniel shared about helping another single dad find work. Lily told us how she fell off her bike, scraped her knee, but got up on her own. Grandma, I didn't cry. I remembered what you said. No one stays down if they know how to stand up. Noah sat with hands folded. I pray my mom gets better soon. After dinner, I stood on the porch, watching Seabrook Bay sink into dark red sunset. Ripples glinted like shards of glass. Beautiful, and a reminder that anything once broken can shine again if the light comes from within. I thought of Robert. If he were here, he'd probably smile and say, see, Margaret, in the end, we are our choices. And I had chosen self-respect, clarity, and love with boundaries. That night, I wrote the last lines in my notebook. No one can start a new chapter by rereading the old one forever. Today I closed the book, not to end it, but to begin again. I set down my pen. Far off, Daniel's porch light still glowed, warm, not bright, but steady. Lily and Noah were surely asleep, and Vanessa somewhere might be learning how to be a decent mother again. I smiled and lit a small candle before Robert's photo. Love, I whispered. I've gone farther than the pain, and I've come back to myself. Thank you for sitting beside me all the way to this moment. If you're still here, you've traveled with me through storms and the quiet places only the heart can hear. If anything in this story touched you, self-respect, resilience, or simply love with limits, know that peace is possible, even after the longest betrayal. Your presence wherever you are warms this kitchen more than any flame ever could.